The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Theme song is gonna play and I don't want to have it playing in the background and I don't even know. So let's check and see if the Trench Talk theme is gonna play this week. There it is. You tuned into the Farron Dozier Show on nbradio.us, Trench Talk Edition, and Live Tour Sports. Catch me here Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, only on nbradio.us. How did I do? Was that a good take? That might work. All right, good evening. Welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website and nbrradio.us. We got to bless the show before we get started. Let's go. When I was in my mother's womb, I had a calling on my life to do something in the glory of God and marry it like a wife. Commit myself to his word and never be led astray. And when it's all over, when he comes, I'll be glad to see that day in the morning time. All right, welcome to an episode of the Farron Dozier Show right here on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. That's right, MBR. Again, thanks for listening in. As always, we have a very important show for you here, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, live 99% of the time, 99% organic conversations. I really don't do a lot of conversations with the guests because I want these conversations to be authentic. I don't want to be pretending like, oh, for real? Like I already heard that stuff. So we just do 99% organic, unless you have, questions that you want me to specifically ask or point out, then, we do interactions like that. So if you want to be a guest, hit me up at Farron Dozier on all your streaming platforms, all your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll have a conversation and get you on the show. Make sure you catch me Tuesdays, that's right, not Sundays anymore, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on KCA Radio, that's 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. I shifted from Sunday nights at 8 to Tuesdays at 6 p.m. I'm working with the organization on a grant, and we're going to be addressing a lot of the men aspects, different types of conversations from all ages, children, adolescent age, young adults, grown men, our elders. We want to find out their experience of what it is to be a male so that we can start to address some of these conversations about, men can't cry, men can't do their emotion, men, whatever. We've heard it all. Right? And we've seen a lot of the impacts, unfortunately, of people completing their lives. Right? And in our veteran community, we know that they say 1 every 65 minutes a veteran brother or sister completes their life. And so we want to interrupt those conversations. For myself, it was very difficult in my transition. I still have to manage those conversations, but interrupting the willingness to die really was my biggest part of that conversation of discovering what's next. And then that's how I found this talk show back about 16 years ago. I've been, doing internet radio for a long time, and it just became a hobby to a platform of where I get to share not just my conversations, but those that people in the world care about as well. So that's how we got to be in front of you. If you want to be a part of this organization, you can always donate to the MBR platform. They provide all these services for us. We do contribute as well, but however, they do go out and seek donations to take care of all of these platforms that you see that we appear on. Even Roku, we are live on Roku TV right now as well. So it's real conversations here. These are very important for my veteran brothers and sisters, for first responders and their caregivers and their dependents and loved ones. There are all types of shows here. So just make sure you go to nbradio.us and check out all the different platforms and different shows that you can either be a part of or listen to. All right, I'm going to play a couple of my PSAs and then get right into this conversation. My guest today is here because, as you know, I'll talk about that real quick. The Inland Empire Hounds, it's a professional ABA basketball team. If you've seen the latest documentary on Prime, it's called Soul Power. It's with Dr. J and all the other ABA players, and they actually talk about the ABA, how it got started, the transition, and then taken over by the NBA. And so, yes, the organization that I'm with, we own 3 basketball teams, professional: the Inland Empire Hounds, the Ventura County Orcas, and the Riverside County Mavericks. This season, we put in the IE Hounds, and during that conversation of taking over the Hounds from my friend, it was like, what are we going to do with this team? Like, we care about the community. And so what better way for us to present the IE Hounds with a conversation around For the Love of Dogs. That was sparked between myself and my business partner, Dr. Bonds. Found ourselves talking about the team one day and what we're going to do with it and how we're going to implement it and the structures. But then we found ourselves grieving around both of our experiences with our dogs. His dog of 17 years and my dog of 14 years. And that sparked the conversation of why not have a campaign from dog breeding to pet grief counseling. And here we are. We got 2 games left this season. That's right. So right now, technically, we are 11-5 with 2 more games left. And one of those games have been dedicated to my guest organization here, Care for Equity. I met them at one of the events. I'm out, networking and meeting people around the dog community. And I met Jessica, and we connected and met Hakeem. And so here we are today. So we're going to use our last game of the season, March 1st. We want to contribute to their organization by having free tickets. So you ain't got to pay. I'm not wrestling no bear or nothing, but you get free tickets to the game. And we're asking you to bring an item to donate to their organization so they can provide that to people who need those kind of supplies like dog food, blankets for the shelters, towels, things like that, toys, leashes, collars, things that for some people, when they want to adopt a dog or may need a new leash or a new collar, that they can have that, right? And so also, there's spayed and neuter. There's a lot of things that we want to talk about here as we want to contribute, but that's what's going on this weekend. We have a game on the 28th of February versus the Antelope Valley Bulls. And then Sunday's game, and that game is at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. And then Sunday's game is at 3 p.m. And again, you're more than welcome to come out. IEHounds.com if you want to grab your free tickets or just show up. However you get there, we just ask that you participate. And we'll see after this weekend if we end up either second place or third place. We know we're going to make the playoffs. It just depends on what seed we're going to fall and then how the following 2 weeks are going to play out for us. If we either host the game at home or either we probably end up traveling to San Diego because those 2 teams down there are in the top 1 or 2 spot right now. So I think that's that for the most part of it. I'm going to play a PSA and then we'll come back and talk about that for a second and then we'll bring up our guests. But this is the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. Appreciate you for your time today. Check out this PSA. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. You know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on sickle cell trait prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org.
Muchos de nosotros nos vemos afectados por la enfermedad de células falciformes a diario y un número creciente simplemente no nos damos cuenta. Los impactos de esta enfermedad afectan a todas las personas y en especialmente a las personas de color y con antecedentes diversos. Estar en servicio conmigo y con los demás a medida que creamos una mayor conciencia sobre cómo identificar y dirigir el tratamiento de los rasgos de células falciformes y ayudar a las familias a saber cómo superar el trastorno de células falciformes. WDCONS.
All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. That conversation is personal to me. Another one of our campaigns that we use with the Inland Empire Hounds. We designed that more of a hydration campaign so that people can become aware of their inherited genes. Again, I collapsed in the military from sickle cell trait exertion with rhabdomyolysis. That's ended my career, and I became an advocate for that. And I've been able to travel across the country, across the world, delivering those conversations to military bases, high schools, colleges, churches, wherever I can get a chance to share that story, share that information to educate people. All right, so again, today we're going to have a conversation. This segment is definitely dedicated to our dog community, for the love of dogs. I had a female boxer for 14 years. I got her when she was 8 weeks old. And I could tell you, after having to put her down, I always thought that, I did think about if she passed away, I would let her go naturally. That was my mind frame. It was if she passes away, I knew that would happen one day, that I would just let her go naturally. But the last stretch of her life, man, she just wasn't in good health. And to watch her in my description of suffer, it was hard to see her to suffer that way. And so talked to my daughter, and we made a choice that it would be best to just let her go. Very emotional, very, very, I still miss her to this day. And I think to myself, if I'd have known how it would feel right now, I probably would have never even got a dog, right? And it's difficult to say that, but we all deal with levels of grief in different ways and different times we find our healing in those journeys. So with that being said, my contribution right now back to I'm not saying I'm not getting another one right now, but right now I'm in the space that I want to be able to give back and support the conversations. We know that the dog and cat conversation is national. I mean, this is not just in California. This is a global, national, I would say at least national conversation that I've interviewed so many people in their respective states and just having a lot of challenges with the dogs and cats. So this organization, again, we partner with this year and looking forward to doing more with them in the coming season as well. So I'm just going to bring Hakeem up here to the deck right now and just have a conversation and see what's going on with him. All right, sir. How you doing?
Doing well. I appreciate the intro. Thank you very much.
No, man. Thank you for taking time out today to hang out with me with this important discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to do something around the corner, meaning the game that we're promoting, it's a nice way to tap into the conversation. So if people are moved by what we're saying, I represent CARE. I'm all the way in Philadelphia, but we're all over the country and just trying to make a difference however we can. So thank you for being able to assist us with making a difference.
No doubt, man. Again, thank you. So let's go back in time, man. Just who was Hakeem growing up, man? Give us a little bit of background.
Hakeem was the kid that always had the talk back problem, but not necessarily in the sense of like, oh, he always got a comment. I just had the questions. I was always the kid asking why. So that didn't change. I don't intend on changing either. Like whenever something comes up that doesn't make sense to me, it feels unfair or unjust, I'm gonna ask why. Yeah. So that led to my path of being a troublesome youth of sorts, and then that led to me getting into social work. I became a social worker. And, just asking the system why at that point, like, why can't my clients, receive what I feel they deserve? Yeah. And then, you get very emotionally tied in when it comes to the humans. So I was able to make a transition into the animal welfare space now, pretty much doing social work and still asking why do we not have equity? Why do we not have, what is fair to us? But yeah, just, asking why in them early years. Being someone that is obsessed with sports, passionate about my family, passionate about my environment. So just really always trying to give 110% on everything, even when it didn't deserve it. Sometimes, I could go a little too hard on some things, but just appreciating everything that was around me and representing it however I could.
Now let's dance on that conversation right there a little bit, because for someone who has went back in time and started to heal my childhood and those decisions that I made about who Farron had to be to survive those moments in time of thinking that I was abandoned, my parents didn't love me, and all those things that we make up sometimes that seem to be real, like my truth, but it wasn't the truth, right? But that question, why, we hear that a lot from people, right? And growing up and asking why, and some environments don't allow the child to ask why, right? Sometimes the child, like you said, can become troublesome because the answers aren't being shared. Like I don't think that's it's not a right or wrong, good or bad conversation. But for some of us, we have questions, and the why is the wonder of the child wanting to figure out what's going on in life. What do you want to say about that part of it?
See, that's the part that I love, which you just kind of leaned into, because the child I think they deserve to hear why. And maybe it's up to us as adults to figure out the best way to put it, because, not every kid is of age to hear the reasoning behind why everything is done. But maybe we could put it in a way that when they're, a year older, they'll understand it a little more clear, and it will stay at the top of their mind to ask when they are of sound age. And for example, right now, me and a partner of mine are running a program called What Is Your Why? And we're doing it in a high school, because, that's the moment in time where you're not just asking why to everyone else. You're kind of asking yourself why. Like, why do I want to do this? Why do I come here? So the more we can give them answers, the more we can make them feel confident into every step of what they're doing. So I think not every question has an answer. Some things are going to be left on why, but we need to be comfortable with asking that. For the same way, when we look at people who are in positions of authority, and when we ask them why, and they tell us like, don't worry about it, back up, something like, maybe right. Law enforcement, whoever, or right. Even ageism. We want to just make sure that it's something that we're not making the answers an exclusive club. Like if you're seeking the answer, let's try to find that for you. Let's work on that. Maybe we won't get the answer today or tomorrow, but we can at least make sure you are heard. And, if you need to be understood, we're trying. And a lot of kids are misunderstood, not being heard. So the least we can do is when they're asking why, respond.
And it's beautiful, because part of the work that I do now with EQ Athletics is going into the schools and having churches, having conversations at church, even how important those whys are at that child level experience, because that can also fracture the sense of belonging of that child when he's coming to the father or the mother, right, and asking the parents why. And maybe, to tell the truth, as parents, sometimes we don't have the answer, right? And maybe we don't know why, and that could be also a pressure on the parents, right? Because they don't have the answer and the child's looking for that answer. But I want parents to understand, and what we share from is that, and as you said it, sometimes you got to plant that, whatever that is at that child's age specific, put something in that child's heart. So when they go back and grow up to think about it, is what my mom or dad said, not what I made up to survive the pain because you didn't give me the answer. Because what people don't understand is if I'm asking you why, and some of us grew up in an environment where it's a one-way conversation. I'm the parent, you're the child, so it's because I said so. Get out of here. Now we'll talk about it later. That child will go sometimes away and make up their own story about the why, because the mind is going to make up something, and it's not going to always be a positive. It's usually a disempowering conversation. And now that child makes up their own story about what the why is. And now when you try to come back and put your input, the child's like, nah. Yeah, they're like, nah. Like, it's that.
And that's what happens when we kill curiosity. Like, we have to award. So I grew up reading Curious George. That's my favorite book. I want to know the answers, Mom. And if you can't give me the answers, at least make me feel like I'm on the inside. I'm not being pushed out.
Yeah, that definitely fractures, and that's part of our curriculum is showing and sharing how that is or could be an emotional fracture between that child and that parent, and then that increases that relationship to be more distant, which is what the spiritual context talks about anyway, is honor your father and mother. But if I don't think about you in a way that I'm connected to you, then I'm not gonna want to.
And it sets such a bad example. Whereas, we're telling them we love them, and like I don't have any children, but I know if I'm telling my daughter I love her and I don't listen to her, that is putting out a bad example into the world. I don't want her to have to go seek attention and love from someone that doesn't actually listen. So we have to, kind of look in the mirror to even say, hey, maybe if things happen, maybe you get a little separate from your kids in a personal relationship, but that's where you need to keep relationships around you, whether it be the uncles, the mom, the grandmoms. You need to be able to lean into other people to say, hey, I think my kid's going through something. You think you can maybe tell them some real life stuff that it maybe not sound as good coming from me, or they just don't want to hear it from me. But we need to have those relationships strong as well.
And I appreciate you for saying that. That is a very important conversation for me, going through my own life experiences and starting to heal from those disconnections from my parents, and then really starting to get my life back, because I realized that they did the best they could with what they had, even if they didn't. I mean, they were teenagers when I was born, so of course they didn't know. I'm 55 trying to figure out what it is to be an adult right now, so how could I be upset with them, even looking back at their young age of having a child? So those are the spaces that creates that compassion, returns that heart to that parent, and creates the relationship with that child to have love toward that parent, or even how I think about you, right, and care for you. So you mentioned about sports. Give me some background about the sports life.
Oh man, I'm a sports fanatic, man. Like, I got tattoos all over my body, different sports. I got my knuckles tatted with the Phillies P's. I got the Atlanta Braves and the Orioles. Big baseball fans. My Eagles won a Super Bowl last year, and that still has me feeling on cloud nine. Sports was everything growing up. Even if I think it's what made my character and kind of gave me that confidence behind asking why. Because for so many years of my childhood, from 92 when I was born all the way up to 2008, we were just glorified losers, always in the playoffs. So I had to defend my team. I had to learn how to defend myself while still being prideful. And also, I just think it's so important to have something to be prideful about, whether it's your family, where you're from, your heritage. And I could say, hey, man, I love my sports teams. I spend money with them. I travel with them, and they hurt me sometimes. But overall, I know that it means a lot to just be a part of something that feels bigger than me, that I can pass down to my kids. And if not my kids, I can at least be at a game and show someone else a good experience. So, it's a cultural thing that I love that I'm a part of.
For sure. Thank you. Family is important. Anything you want to say about moms, pops? Anything you want to shout out to the family?
As you pointed out, our parents did not have all the answers. Give them time and patience. And I seen a post today that makes me, just kind of look at family and parenthood in a scope. I'm going to paraphrase it. It was something along the lines of, forever was never meant to be a person. It's meant to be a memory. So with that in mind, we have to cherish every moment, because, a forever thing isn't promised, but the memory is. So when we're around our people, whether or not we're having a good engagement, bad engagement, just soak it all in and take it for what it's worth. I still have both my parents. I'm blessed. I have two of my grandmoms left. I have great conversations with them. And I try to make sure at least weekly I'm, in person with my family, if not texting, calling, for better, for worse. I just want to make sure, every step of the way we can guide each other, but as well as just learning, your roots and your history, My dad is my best friend. That man has done so much cool stuff in his life. I can't wait to ask him questions and even just to tell him about what I'm doing, because you know, when you lose, not in the sense of like a loss of life, but just when you no longer have someone that you're looking to impress, you can get real stagnant. And I know that I'm always looking to impress my dad. You know, he might say I've surpassed where he is, but it just means a lot to know that somebody's in my corner cheering me on and wants to hear these things. So I'm gonna keep making him proud.
Yeah, definitely. I could relate. My dad transitioned 6 years ago, so I definitely was able to reconcile with him and have my dad back the last 8 years of his life. And so I totally understand what that feels like. And now that I'm grandpa, I get to be that for my grandsons and granddaughters as well. So definitely, family is definitely important. I haven't, like I said, I haven't talked to you, but siblings, do you have any siblings?
Yep.
Okay,
big family. I got 3 on my mom's side. Only one. Me and my oldest brother are 100% blood, but that's never really, you know, came into the equation with my other siblings. I got 3 on my dad's side as well, and they all kind of match up in ages. So it's kind of cool where as adults we get to kind of cross the family lines and like, hey, let's hang out over here. Let's get together. And you know, I don't know if they know it, but like when I see that, when I see my little sister from my dad's side hanging with my little sister on my mom's side, that makes me feel like the man, because I know that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for me being an involved brother. And my older brother, I've never had to want for anything, because if he had it, he'll give it away before he kept it for himself. And that goes for his clothes, the car, the bed, like everything. When I became in high school, I had to want for nothing because he wanted to make sure his brother was fly, was taken care of, protected. So my siblings have done a ton for me. I'm trying to just return that favor for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no doubt. I see the last name. What does the last name ancestry come from?
So I love my name. I'm real. I'm glad you asked that, because I have a bittersweet battle that I go back and forth with my name. But it's something beautiful though. So my full name is Hakeem Shaquille Ruiz, and I'm named after 2 basketball players. I'm named after Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm named after Shaquille O'Neal, who also were Muslim black men. So I take a lot of pride in that, where when I was in high school, people didn't know how to even pronounce my last name. So they kind of just bypassed it. And I didn't speak Spanish. I'm from a predominantly Puerto Rican neighborhood. So you kind of get certain looks and feelings when you don't speak Spanish. But I never had to thoroughly feel like, you know, outcasted or anything, because just based on my name in Arabic means healer or sage, doctor, something of that nature. The Arabic community and people I met that were in high school that were from Arabic backgrounds embraced me so much. I already had a great embracement from, you know, being half black, but just the name alone got me into so many doors that I appreciated being in. Whereas on the flip side of that, I used to get denied for rental and housing units and all sorts of stuff without ever getting a call back, probably because of my name. But nonetheless, I'm proud of it. I love this name. I love the spelling of it. I love the heritage, you know, just so much that goes into a name. And I'm trying to make this legacy last forever with this name.
Now, you mentioned being Puerto Rican. Do you know what had your ancestors, your great-great-grandfather, what had them come to the United States, or were they already here? Or do you know anything in the history about that?
I do, but I'm not gonna lie. I think it's some sketchy history. What I understand, there's just certain questions that like you get a little bit of information of. What we were saying earlier about the whys and the kids asking why.
Right.
So everything, and I think I don't want to know the answer to this because it wasn't all that great. But I will say, my grandma on his side, she goes back to PR probably once a year, if not once every other year. We still got a lot of older family there. And when COVID time came around and, you know, everyone was traveling but not traveling, and we were wearing masks or not, but flights were stupid cheap. And for that period in time, my grandma went back to Puerto Rico in December. I think my dad sent my sisters down there in like February, and then he went down in March. I'm like, I gotta go. I have, as an adult, I will never see an opportunity to be in the same house with all these people again. So that was my real, I don't know, maybe I just turned 29 or 30, but that was probably like the realest experience I've had with my family and heritage in alignment with Puerto Rico, because my grandfather, he was a great man to me, but he wasn't a very open man, you know, traditional men of a certain era. So I didn't get a chance to learn a ton, but from what I did pick up in my first person experience being there, that was special. And just seeing what it means to my dad means something to me. It might have missed the generation a little bit. I don't speak Spanish. I don't align, thoroughly the way that he may have intended it when I was born. But I think he knows that it means something to me to be a part of those moments with the family. So it's really special to, go back to the motherland of sorts and just feel the peace and bliss that there is there.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. Thank you. Like I said, those are the conversations that are important because we all have a history of some sort, right? And sometimes getting back to understand where we came from and why our family came to these areas for, a better opportunity, whatever that was, looking back, we could see, well, no wonder y'all act like that, or no wonder this was going on during that time and why you were so protective of me because of what you went through as a child. And a lot of times, we don't get a chance to ask those questions or talk to our relatives to find out what was going on in our history so that we can kind of see the behaviors and why we act the way we act. And I believe that those are important conversations, especially when you're ready to start your healing journey, that you can settle some of those questions that you have. You said sometimes there is no answer to questions. And so you can even settle those kind of things in our hearts as well. So I appreciate you for being open and sharing that.
Of course, no, it's I'm gonna get those answers soon enough, but I just think I don't want to hurt no feelings in the process of it. Let's just say at a point the family had to go back to Puerto Rico. It was getting rough, but
No, that's cool. That's cool. All right, man. So in this segment here about the For the Love of Dogs, when you hear that phrase for yourself, for the love of dogs, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Unconditional love. Like whenever dog and love is in the same sentence, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And it's like a bittersweet thing because I do think you get that from humans, but we have our own attention spans that just allow us to be hurt over the littlest things. Right. But with our pets, it's just an unbelievable love, specifically with dogs, that is unconditional. Like I was just telling you, my dog had a little accident right before I started. Thankfully, I'm talking about my dog now. So once this is over, I'm gonna go up to that cage and be like, "Hey, I missed you. I'm sorry, yo."
Yeah, so the organization that you founded, we're gonna get to there in a second. But what had you even want to become a pet owner? I know this is your second dog, as far as I understand, but your first animal, your first pet, was that normal family dynamic, or was it something that you chose to set up?
Completely a family, all family dynamic. And it's similar to, without getting into many details, similar to how my family ended up here from Puerto Rico. But essentially, my older brother, who's the one who took care of me, everything I needed, Black Friday of the year after I graduated high school, like 11, unfortunately, he gets arrested and he has to do some time. He's sitting down. My family didn't grow up with dogs. My mom doesn't like dogs. She's not a very patient person either. So it's just me and his dog. When he took in the dog as a stray the year before, I fell in love with the dog. It gave me like a sense of purpose. I remember, feeling lost, high school kid. I would go over there and just hang with his dog, and we had that kind of connection. So, and even just, it's triggering a little bit because I haven't remembered that part of it in a while where something go wrong at the house. I'm gonna walk to my brother's house and go hang with his dog. So sure enough, when he needed something, he was gone, and I took in the dog. It was like, I'm living on my mom's. I'm trying to figure out my life. And within 4 or 5 months, I moved out because my mom was never mean or malicious, but she wasn't welcoming. So I had to get us out of that situation. Yeah. But something that really stood out with the family dynamic was my brother called. The first time we had a chance to call, we're panicked. I miss him. I want to talk about us. But he's like, yo, I need you to do me a favor. In the drawer downstairs, there's like $400, $500. And, he could have asked me to do anything with that. Lawyer fees, cover a bill. Can you guess what he told me to do with that $400, $500?
Get some stuff for his dog.
Go to the vet. He said, make sure she got her shots. She's due.
Wow.
Like, that was on his mind. So, yeah, my first experience getting a dog was very unique. It was all untrained, unfamiliar territory, but it was based on love. It was just, I'm going to hold you down. And I already love that dog. So it worked out perfectly for 10 years or so.
Now you mentioned something for yourself, and I could see how the care for equity maybe came from your life experiences, right? Because you're looking at the care for the dog, and then you're looking at how the dog impacted you becoming that dog owner, stepping in for your brother. How did those experiences with the dog community get you into the care because I know there's a piece for the person as well, right?
Yeah. So I want to be clear. James Evans is the founder of Care. He founded it maybe 5 years ago, and it was maybe 6 years ago. It started off as an idea. He presented it, got some funding, and then started building a team. I wasn't the first employee, but I'm the longest tenured right now. And I remember the day they hired me, or better yet, the day they offered me the job. It wasn't for that. It was for a community partnership. They were looking to do work in Philadelphia. They reached out for a Zoom. I was having a horrible day. I was, in my social work job, just hating every bit of it that day. I'm not one that uses the word hate very often, but I was hating my life that day. And I remember getting on that call, particularly because CARE is a BIPOC organization, focused on Black and Indigenous people of color. And my employee at my personal nonprofit in Philly is a white woman. So I'm like, I can't have you go on that call by yourself. They're gonna be like, who the hell are we talking to? So anyway, I get on the call during work, and I was as arrogant as I ever could have been. I'm on there like, what? This is what we do. We're the best in the city. No one could do it like us. Because I'm just speaking from a point of like resilience and frustration. And I moved them. Like it's unbelievable how the world works out. I moved them to the point at the end of that call. They're like, I don't know if we're allowed to do this, but we want to offer you a job. And what? I was currently at my job, so I'm already like, yeah, right. And then the email comes through. They followed up immediately with an offer. And I remember my employee who, it sounds weird. Like I'm working damn near minimum wage salary, and I have an employee at the same time. But she opens the email and she's like, Hakeem, this is great. This is perfect for you. She's happy for me. But like, I was still at a point in my life, I didn't understand how to be happy for myself. And I said, don't open that. It's not real. That's not real. None of that's going to happen. 4 years later, I've learned so much. This animal welfare industry is something that I feel like I'm perfect for. And in the early stages, I didn't know, but social work is kind of where animal welfare is leaning. And me, as someone who's been through so much as a young dog owner without knowing I even went through anything, I thought you were just supposed to struggle. So that's where I got my introduction into this field, where someone just seen something in me and said, hey, we want to put a little twist in this industry by activating you.
Wow. That is so cool, man. If I ask you about your mental toughness, who do you say, or what part of your life you would equate that mental toughness to your development? Parents, environment?
I'm gonna say two people. My dad, for one, that's an easy one. Man, he used to break my heart by saying something so simple, because he would never yell at me, never say I'm mad or I'm just. He would say, "That's not what I wanted for you," and it's like, burned my soul with that without saying anything. So that made me mentally tough to know that, like, damn, I don't think anyone could hurt me more than my dad when he says that. I gotta live away from ever getting to those words again. So it was that, as well as he always had the mindset of, just being like, a man of the past, where everything is about, we have to figure it out. No one's got our backs. No one cares, Hakeem. He used to tell me that. I used to ask, like, hey, Dad, you're so popular. Why don't you go hang with that? Why don't you talk to? No one cares, Hakeem. He would tell me like that, which isn't the reality, but there's something beautiful within that. Yeah. And then the other one, mental toughness, comes from James Evans, our CEO. Because one time we're at a meeting. This is one of my first meetings, and I have on a nice, button up. I got my hair I got a lot of hair, so my hair was in a ponytail. Yeah. And I'm covering up my tattoos and stuff. And he says, like, what are you dressing like this for? What are you doing? And I told him, like, oh, I'm just trying to be professional. He's like, nah. Oh, man, whatever. I want you to be yourself. That's why I hired you. Oh my God. So he put another layer of mental toughness in me by reminding me, be yourself. We hired you, not just anybody. We hired you for a reason. So be you.
All right. So you join CARE. There's this conversation about not just the dogs and the cats, but the people who want to possibly become pet owners or adopt. I know that this is a human being conversation for me, and I do believe that if we don't take care of our own community, who's going to do it, right? We can't leave it to the system, which is the system is other people, not just the system, but other people to take care of. So what do you want to say about the Black, indigenous people of color? What do you want to say about let's touch on that aspect before we get into the details about it. What do you want to say about that? I don't even like the word marginalized. People use the word marginalized. I don't like that term, but I know it's a term used. But for you, what does that look like for that?
So I feel like I'm still learning it every day, but I would look at it as we're just kept in the dark, and it's sad. Just so many of the systems of oppression that are put against us is sad because, you know, certain things we were kept out of because they felt we weren't smart enough. But in this field, it not to be harsh, but we aren't smart enough because we're uneducated. No one gave us education on how to treat and learnables, raise animals. But the one thing that we have inherently is love. That's what we give our pets all the time. And then when they take them away from us, that's the part that really boils my blood, because it's like, hold on, how are we solving a problem by putting pets in a shelter, essentially a cage, a jail, similar to what they did to our dads, similar to what they did to a whole generation before me? So it's just so many layers to it where it's like, why are they holding out this education from us? And I think it's because, you know, whoever those powers that be that run that industry that kept us away from it for so many years, they don't want us to reach that happiness before they do. So I could probably go on with that for days, but I just know that just because we're uneducated on certain things doesn't mean we won't be passionate about it. And I know that for all the ups and downs I went through with my dog and my community didn't have answers for me, everyone loved my dog. And that's something that, you know, I'm never going to forget, that even when you don't know exactly what to do, love will lead.
Yeah. And it, you got specifically Black, Indigenous, and people of color. That Indigenous part of that conversation, what does that look like as far as?
I love that part because I wasn't really too aware, to be honest. Like in Philadelphia, I'm not coming across too many people that represent as Native or Indigenous. So we have a tier in Minnesota, our northern, they're doing this work, and they're led by Indigenous people. And man, I'm learning so much every day just about the trust factors, what we have to go through sometimes to make sure that we can get real information from them. And I love it because it's a two-sided street where it's to say, hey, we want to, you know, share with the world what you may be going through, whether it's, hey, you don't have a vet for 20 miles. You don't have a place you can go and receive proper food for your pets for 20 miles. And these are things that I'm not aware of, because the only thing I think of in Minnesota is the Timberwolves. But obviously there's so much more going on in that state, in those cities, that there's a very large Indigenous population out there, and they're doing a lot of work on reservations. They have a lot of unique issues. And to be invited into some of that trust and privacy that they you know, make you go through, I love it because it shows that we're on the right side of things. It really makes me feel confident within this work where we're not just helping any community, we're helping communities that have problems. Trust, the fact that they trust us makes me feel like I'm on the right page.
No, man, that's beautiful. I have a friend who owns a Native American basketball team, ABA team. And we actually shared the hotel rooms together last season for the championship. We went out there to watch the game, and he was saying that even in his culture, mental health, like there are things that they don't really deal with, that they need that information, right? And how you saying that even around, I didn't even think about even in the aspect of having pets. There's conversations that people just sometimes lack the knowledge or the information on how to best practices. I don't know how you want to language that, but there is information that people just don't know, right? About what it is to have a dog. And so I didn't think about that as from a pet perspective. I know I talked to him about the mental toughness, mental health aspect. He's like, yeah, we don't hardly get any, like that's not even really a conversation for the Native American culture. Like we don't deal with mental health issues and things like that, but people are dealing with those things. So you talk about whole health is what I hear.
Whole One Health system. And then you're thinking, I found out about quills, like porcupines are out there blasting their quills out at dogs. And these dogs that are, you know, not unhoused, but they roam. And they're getting blasted in the face with all these quills. And this is a problem. They got to rush to the vet that's, you know, 20 miles away. So this is something where I'm glad to be on the right side learning this type of stuff, because it just would go over my head otherwise.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know to think about that if it's not a conversation. So I can see why you say the lack of information And again, if we don't take care of our community, you know, then who will,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't want to leave it to the systems, which is again just another level of people who run those departments.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the video on your website, on the CARE website, man, and it just opened my eyes to a whole nother level of this conversation. And it was asking the people, if you worked 40 hours plus, you know, step off. If you live in a place that doesn't have a yard, like it went through all these different, and it was eliminating people, right? What do you want to say about that video that's on the site?
That video was the first video they showed me when I was introduced to working for CARE. And I think it was the best way to get me in the frame of mind I need to do this work, because I wasn't going to be eligible to adopt a pet. I already had a pet and was a great pet owner for 13 years. But according to those standards, I can't adopt. I didn't have a backyard. I work too much. I live alone. And so many people who have small kids wouldn't be able to adopt. There's just so many restrictions that they put on adoption. And when you think about, hey, maybe I'll just go get a dog somewhere else, those opportunities are being limited. Like in Philadelphia, they just banned backyard breeding, which means if you accidentally have a puppy, purposely have a puppy, if you buy a puppy, if you try to just give a puppy away, you can be fined $1,000. So it already was expensive being broke as is. Now I can't even try to get a dog. I can't even be humane and think, hey, let me just give my cousin this dog because my pup accidentally had a litter.
What?
Control was being taken over completely. So a number that was shared through our animal control, which is, you know, they're in control of everything here in Philadelphia as far as pets. I want to say they had 291,000 pets come through the shelter since 2013. That's a large number, scary number. What's going on? We need to fix the situation. But the number they don't tell you is how many people did they deny? How many people likely of brown and black color culture from the neighborhood that they live in, which has a $35,000 annual income? How many did you deny? And also, I would like to see the zip codes. Those people that you approved, what areas do they live in? Because I know there's no backyards out here. There's no parks. There's no greenland. So, so many levels of control that makes people like me, who look like me, talk like me, live in my areas, not be able to have a pet. And when we're in a city that is known for being loud, arrogant, obnoxious, in traffic and yelling at each other all the time, and why wouldn't we want to kill each other? We can't go home and feel any relief from our beautiful pets. So it seems like a system of control.
Now, you and I did have a conversation the other day as we were setting this topic up. And I looked at the application process, and looking at that application process, I could see part of their view of making sure that when you choose to go into adopt a pet or to become an owner of a dog or a cat, that there are certain things that they need to be aware of that you have, right? So I could see the fine line of filling out the application, answering these questions, but then if I base it just off the paper and not talk to you or get more details about the answers, then that to me is a part that you're pointing to, is like, okay, before you disqualify me, have a conversation with me, or what is there a missing transfer of information, or is it just a document? Oh, no, and then you're done? Mm-hmm. Or do they even ask you to come and have a talk to see? You know.
So from what I understand, there's a no adoption list, and people can do anything to get on that. You wouldn't even know it. If you had a situation where maybe your pet was hit by a car, maybe you turned in a pet that was hit by a car and you didn't even claim it to be yours, they may still throw you on a no adoption list just because they are concerned that you have done harm. And lists like that are harmful because people change, people can learn, and some people are just put in a weird position, a weird predicament. So when you have, say, a 20-year-old that wants to come in a position that I was in, I had a job, I was making a couple of hours, and I was able to raise a dog just fine. Now, if you're going to deny me, do I stay in your system? Do you call me back in 6 months when the population is overwhelming at the shelter and you need to clear it? And you're like, hey, maybe we can let you at least foster one of these dogs. Maybe we can let until we think you're a fit pet parent. Maybe we make visits. Maybe we make you come and take training with us. But to just straight up deny somebody shows a strong lack of effort and a lack of belief. So you don't believe that I could ever be a dog owner? Why would you not invest in me if there's such a big problem to house those dogs? I have a house. I got money that I'm willing to put in food, vet care, energy, time, and attention. Just give me a chance. And I think the problem is these places are kind of a one and done scenario, but it's not fair because we follow up should be just different levels of consideration, especially when you see a dog that's been on, I forget what they call it, but let's just use the term death row. If there's a dog that's on death row for 6 months and you're denying people every day, that doesn't make sense.
That want to actually take the dog in, but because of the process of elimination, pretty much. But I appreciate how you say that too, because even us as human beings, when we communicate to one another, I find myself, or I had to learn even for myself, that sometimes we talk to one another like a chair. Like, Hakeem, this is how Hakeem is, and he can be no other way, right? And when I learned that, right, absolutes, right? And so, but as human beings, that's not true, because we can learn, we can grow. Our brain is malleable. Like, we can grow and develop and change and even become a better person than you was 5-10 years ago. And I believe that part of the human relationship gets in the way. Even how, my ex-wife would talk about my daughter and say, "Oh, she's lazy," and it's like, is she lazy or does she occur lazy? And if you occur lazy, then I can go and find what's going on with you. Maybe ask some questions. But if I label you as is in the is world, then there's no space for me to even think about you in another perspective, as you said, to be on the list. And then it's like, okay, now they're done. This is the one and done list. When those are people. Yeah,
those are people with opportunities. And if you're not taking advantage of opportunities, I don't think you're doing it right.
What's your take on the dog breeding, as part of that, with as far as
I was able to go down to City Hall and actually speak on this a couple of times and try to just stir up some attention for, what we're fighting for, which is not opposing this bill, because we do think backyard breeding with the populations that are going crazy in the city and breeds, it's a problem. We need to have limitations to it. But there's just so much language in the bill that just looks like it's room and opportunity to take advantage of people. What kind of people? Probably the poor and oppressed people already, the people that don't have money. One key thing I said when I was speaking at City Hall to the person who is not just the sponsor of the bill, but a former board of animal control, so it feels a little rigged already. And I'm telling her, if someone gives me $1,000 fine because I didn't know about the backyard breeder bill, because maybe I just don't watch the news, like 80% of people who are probably under 40 maybe. But if I, accidentally have a litter, or maybe I just said, hey, I'm gonna do one more litter, and you catch me. Now I have this $1,000 to $2,000 fine per dog. What would I do to actually pay that fine? Because who knows what the sanctions could be? Jail time, more penalties, taxing issues. They might even investigate your citizenship status. Who knows when they get your information? Right. So let's just say I'm $2,000 in debt, maybe $4,000. The first thing I'm gonna think to do is have another litter of puppies. So it just creates recidivism. This is a problem that we've seen happen with, our systems of, let's say anything from drugs to just people who maybe, got greedy with something. So we need to start leading with education and partnership rather than punishment. Taking money away from somebody isn't always going to teach them a lesson. That's not really how the world works. Taking money away from somebody and maybe giving them a moment to be rehabilitated, educated, they might lean into that, and they might want to work off their payments. The same way you can look at a criminal case and they're able to walk off something on the street with good behavior and time served. We should be able to do that with a dog breeder as well. Say, hey, we actually admire your skills. We want to teach you how to get a proper license, and we want to educate you to where maybe you can be a breeder in the city of Philadelphia, because unless you have 26 pets, 26 dogs, you're not allowed to be a breeder. And with the size of our houses, I don't think they want us being breeders. So you're taking an entire city out of that game, which is a very lucrative industry. It's not fair. So they need to have some checks and balances within the way that bill is going to be enforced.
Before I let you go, man, I got a couple more things. I loved when I look at your page and I see you talking to the pet owners randomly at the beach. Talk about that experience of the storytelling.
Bark About It is my favorite thing, man. That's where I started my first thing with Care. So if you look at the Care for Equity Instagram page, we have a bunch of shorts that we call Bark About It. And it's essentially just putting a mic in the people's face, whether it be in Jacksonville. We did them in Austin, Texas, Baltimore, Delaware, Philadelphia, New York. We went all around the country already, just interviewing people to see, hey, what problems do you have? Do you not have problems at all? And tell us the love story about you and your dog. And one thing I noticed from the very first interview, this isn't an exaggeration. We put a microphone in front of a man in a winter day in Philadelphia who was walking his dog. And he says, hey, let me just go put the dog in. I thought he was lying. He comes back. He actually comes back. And I asked him the first question, why did you name your dog Son? Tears. Immediately. He didn't hesitate. He turns to the side. Grown man broke down in tears. And from that moment, I'm doing something special, because I don't think anyone ever asked him, why do you care about your dog? How do you feel about your dog? So that really was like the best way to tell the story of what our community needs, is from the community rather than me saying it. I'll put a mic in front of somebody because they trust my energy, trust how I can ask the questions. You know, they're opened up and telling me their soul.
That is the beauty of our advocacy work, because I know I experience that quite often. You got another pet recently.
Yep.
What was that transition? Because like I said, for me, I think about it. I look at it like I have 3 daughters. They're older. I have grandchildren now, and that's work, man. That's patience. So I don't know if I have enough patience to retrain to do all that work that I did initially with my dog Daisy. I don't know if I have that patience. But for you, and some people do. Some people go right into the next pet right away. I've met people that go when they know that it's time for their dog to life to come to an end. They'll go get another dog so that the transition, they already have one, right? You know, as the transition happens. So give me a little bit about your journey on this one.
So when I was coming up with my first dog, Gucci, around the time she was about 5 or 6, I got her fixed because, you know, a lot of people were telling me it's health concerns, but I was hesitant. I always thought that to kind of keep her able to have puppies until her later years, maybe, so I could have another her. But it didn't work out that way because I was concerned, and I was educated on what to do. So we got her taken care of. And years later, I went 6 years without a dog, and it just was a moment. I was in Austin, Texas, with some people that I really respect and appreciate. And in my city, I know that there's no offense to these breeds, but I had a pit bull. I wasn't looking to get another pit bull, and our shelters are full of pit bulls, to be honest. So when someone asked me, as I'm a single person, I live with myself, it's a lot of responsibility. They said, hey, what do you want in a pet? And we can find it for you. So I was very specific. I gave them some criteria, and they found me this little guy that I ended up naming Furious Styles P. If you if you ever seen Boys in the Hood, Furious Styles, I named it after the Lawrence Fishburne character because he's so cool, calm, collective. And man, I really love this dog because everything you said, the patience, I needed to kind of reinstill that in me. I was getting to a point of being very stagnant as a human, as an individual, a very successful, wise 30-something-year-old man, but I also was getting a little bitter, you know, of the sense, I'm not going to have another dog until I start a family. And sometimes you can't just keep pushing those goalposts back. You can't keep pushing back happiness. You got to be happy today. You have to live your life today because tomorrow is not promised. And I was proud to say I kind of healed myself by saying, I'm going to get this dog. And that first day, I lied to you not, I cried. I couldn't stop crying because I didn't even know how to look at this new dog without feeling guilt. But I got over guilt. And ever since that day, I haven't really looked back. I feel great. I feel relief. And I think it healed something in me to where now I can properly, grow the rest of my life without having any stunted growth.
Wow. I know you describe it as guilt, but what if you could name an emotion more specifically? What would you say that feeling was when you see that you had that new dog that day, and you're like, you're not a replacement, but it's like, what is that?
It's really hard to explain because as I shared with you prior to this, that I feel like I'm out of it from where I was. But if the best example I could say is I felt like I cheated Like, I cheated on my last dog and I got this new dog here, and I feel so much just pain that like I gave up on you. Your memory is gone. I'm no longer gonna feel that way. Like, which isn't true. She's still Gucci is still the background of my cell phone as she's been for the last 6 years, and like that'll never change. And to be honest, this new dog, I have a different level of love for it. Like, someone asked me, "Oh, is that your son?" I said, "No, this is my best friend." But my first dog, I think that was my daughter. We had just a different level of connection that me as a young man, like, I don't know how she triggers this in me, but like I can just cry on command when it comes to thinking about my first dog. But now it doesn't go that way with with my current dog, because I just feel healed. And I feel like I don't have to have that guilt no more. When I cry, it's literally because I miss her, because there's no replacing the perfect dog, So it's just tough to accept that sometimes. But nonetheless, as I said earlier, forever is meant to be for a memory. It's not necessarily meant to be for a life. And I'm glad those memories are forever.
And let's wrap it with Care for Equity as an organization. You're doing a lot of great work, obviously. Are there some key things that you want people to know about the organization so they can reach out and go to the website and support you, take on some conversations, or what do you want people to know about Care?
So I want people to know that anyone is eligible to be a part of Care. Maybe not as an employee. We don't got that many funds. But if you're doing good work in your community, whether it be right now, we're currently in LA, Minnesota, Atlanta, and Philadelphia, but we have partners that are in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Miami, and so many other areas, because we just see people that are doing the work on their own, and how can we support them, whether it be sharing a grant with them, giving them notoriety on our social media, giving them a little resource with some of our monthly calls. So we have a newsletter, we have a website, and I challenge anyone, just go on that website, careawo.org, and there's tons of great narrative information, videos you can watch if you don't feel like reading. If you do feel like reading, we have research projects, and everyone can be a part of this, because we have this term we call I'm losing the term, I'm sorry, but it's essentially a localized leader, and you have community wisdom. That's the term I'm looking for. So if you know your community better than I do, who's better to take care of it? I can't go into Toledo and tell people how to take care of their pets and the people in Toledo. So hopefully, if somebody's doing amazing work anywhere, in IE, no matter where it's at, please just reach out to us and tell us how you love your pets, and we can find a way to either support you or make you feel like you belong. So I love the work we're doing at Care. It's for everyone, and it's going to be perpetual. It's something that won't stop. So whenever they feel comfortable getting involved.
Yeah, shouts out to Jessica. Like I said, there was an event at a park near my house, and we were ramping up for the season. And I was like, I'm not really I'm military, so I'm not really a networking kind of person. So it took a lot of courage to just go out there and walk around and just kind of like, see what was going on, and now all these different organizations and information. And I just said, I'm just going to go to each table and just share who we are, what we're up to about the Hounds, and see who wants to connect. And her and her family definitely connected. And I'm like, okay, that was pleasant.
Yeah, I'm very glad you did that, because I want to say, fairly new when she met you, if not new, just still getting comfortable in the role. And through you brought us closer. Me and the team, we all work all across the country. So any opportunity I have to support her on an LA project, it just brings the team even closer. So I got to thank you for giving us an opportunity for me and Jessica to be able to work more in cahoots. We've only met one time, surprisingly, but we've known each other. We're on Zoom calls all the time. And I just love that, you're supporting her, her family's supporting her, and I can support her from across the country to make, all of our jobs a little easier.
Yeah. And for this game that's coming up March 1st, it is like a week out, but we wanted to at least have an example of how us as the Inland Empire Hounds want to give back to our dog community. So I don't know how it's going to play out, how it's going to turn out, but I just wanted people to have an opportunity to see that, hey, we're not just here to play basketball, right? We're here to not just take care of our pets, but I mean, we got these players, we got these men who are chasing this basketball dream, chasing this hoop dream. I'm living my basketball dream as an identity as an owner, because I can't play ball anymore like I used to. So there's a lot of stuff going on with us around this basketball team, right? And it's not just the basketball, it's the hydration, because athletes collapse and die. You have the animals, you have the mental health, the mental toughness aspect of athletes and military, and just the community. So I had an opportunity to go to elementary school to do a career day, right? And that transpired because I went to a political conversation for a meeting, and I happened to talk to the ladies that were sitting there, and she's one of the counselors at the school. Long story short, I go in. They're elementary, so we're talking about 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, right? So I've done career days before. So I have this PowerPoint with pictures of myself from a child to my current age. I wore my military jacket to represent my military career, and then I brought my camera because I went to TV broadcasting school, radio school. So I opened up the conversation. Okay, I know you're young, but what do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody raised their hands. They share athlete, YouTuber, all these different conversations. One little girl says she wanted to be a veterinarian. And I was like, oh, that's cool. You want to take care of the animals? She's like, yeah, I like to take care of the animals. So in my mind, it triggered pets. So I'm like, okay, so what's your favorite pets? And their hands go up, and kangaroos to dogs. One little girl knew the specific type of cat. Like, we looked it up, like, oh, that's your favorite cat. Like, so just all the different answers. And this one little young Hispanic little girl, she says, my goldfish died. And so I'm like, okay, I know what I had a goldfish as a child. I know what that feels like, So I'm like, oh, okay, and whatever God allowed me to say to the little girl, I said it. But then she said, I had to flush it down the toilet. And I'm like, oh, but it's how she said it and her facial expression. And I saw and I heard her tone, which was like a level of loss or grief. Like it wasn't like there was that was some loss there. So I heard that and I'm like, oh my goodness. And so whatever I deliver to the child, the hands go up and you hear the other children say, oh, my mom died, my dad died, my cousin died, my grandpa died, my uncle died. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm just now coming out of a level of grief with my own dad, right, after 6 years. And so, again, I deliver that message. As I'm done, they transition out to go to the next class. The teacher says, hey, we don't have time for these social emotional conversations. We're focused on test scores. 3rd grade, elementary school, test scores and all that, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And she says, I'm grieving. She says, my dad passed in September. And my mom is 81, and I'm trying to figure out what's next for her and like all these. And I'm just sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. But I know that I have this burden on my heart about grief. And so to hear that from the 3rd graders and then the teacher, not just from loved ones, but for animals too. And it was like, this is a real life conversation. And I'm 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and I'm dealing with already environmental stuff probably. And then on top of that, loss and grief. It was like, man, there's a lot of work to be done with our children in our schools. And so it just reconnected me to the why of why we do this and these type of conversations, man. So I thank you for today for being here, and anything you want to say about that level of grief or the transition for you, or how do we want to even move that conversation forward?
I would say grief is something that never ends, and that's a beautiful thing because we shouldn't want to forget. And when you learn to deal with your grief, that's when you become stronger than you've ever been. I had my grandfather pass maybe 3-4 years ago. He's the one I got tatted on my knuckles, Papo. I remember, he was kind of losing it towards his last years. And I had a conversation with him, maybe 2 weeks before he passed. He had a tear running down his eye. And I start yelling at him a little bit. I'm like, what you crying about, man? You the best grandfather that's ever happened. You the man. You don't got nothing to cry about. And I'm just, going in on that energy for a couple of minutes. And he cracked a smile. Lord knows if he understood me. Yeah. But he passed shortly after that. And I truly feel like I've been more at ease with losing someone because I felt like I said everything I needed to say. Right. And that conversation made him feel great. But on the flip side of that, we have something like a losing of a pet. Man, when I lost my goldfish 2 years ago, that broke my heart because I feel like I was just surrounded by death at that point.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
It was just when you lose something like a pet, especially someone who I live by myself, I don't have a romantic partner. Right. Right. A lot of it is just in here, in my mind. And when I lost my dog, it was that I lost something that I loved that never could tell me it loved me back. So that's where I was just seeking this, confirmation of sorts. And I actually spoke to a medium. This sounds crazy, but she speaks to pet spirits. And sure enough, when I got my new dog, I spoke to this medium and she said, your dog said it's okay. Your dog said it's fine. You can move on. So grief is something that I think we all live with, and we all need to remember it can become a superpower. The same way we all have limitations, that's a superpower. My grief is my superpower because it makes me have empathy for others. And especially when it comes to people grieving over pets, man, don't let me see that Instagram post that your pet passed, because I'm going to be hitting you up every single day. Are you okay? Are you okay? And not even asking that I want you to be okay. I just want to make sure that you need someone to talk to. I'm here. I got your back. So grief is going to hit us all hard. But if anyone needs it, I don't care if it's a stranger just watching this program. Hit Hakeem Ruiz up if you're dealing with a pet. And I think we can, try to figure out how you can gain your superpower out of that.
For sure, man. Thank you for your time today, man. I look forward to doing some more work with you in the near future, man. So again, I appreciate you for hanging out.
Greatly looking forward to it, man. Thank you for the time. Thank you for keeping the ABA alive. Thank you for your service. And appreciate this opportunity. Anyone, please follow Care for Equity on Instagram. Follow me, Shaq Rose, SHAK_ROSE. And I just want to, be here to support. Looking forward to attending the IE Hounds game real.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Take it easy, bro.
All right. All right. Thanks for tuning in again today on the Farron Dozier Show. Again, always a very important conversation with you. The care for our animals. As the co-owner of the IE Hounds, that's definitely, we incorporate the dogs and the cats there. But I also, before I shared the team with my partners, I own the Ventura County Orcas as a sole owner, and that campaign was right away. How can we take care of the orcas, right? Because they are becoming extinct. And so just, in the space that I am with the Riverside County Mavericks, that mascot is a lion. So I'm probably going to share the cat community with that lion and the Riverside County team. So we got 3 teams. Those will definitely be based on how to help take care of the animals. Again, I was going to say, on a biblical conversation, that's what Adam did. Adam had his work, and he was to take care of the animals. And some other things happened during that time, but that is what we're here to do, to take care of the animals and be a voice for them and just be responsible for them. And as Hakeem was saying, people can learn, they can grow, they can develop. And if you desire to be a pet owner or to adopt, and you're having some challenges, maybe reaching out to Care for Equity can help you, give you some pointers, some conversations to go back and maybe fulfill on that desire to adopt or be a pet owner. We do know that there is a level of responsibility. I was going to tell Hakeem, I remember in the past, in the mid 2012s, I think I told him, I have friends who were in the adoption arena, and one of the biggest issues that they had was people would come adopt a pet, and then 4 or 5 months, 6 months, a year later, they move into an apartment, or something happens, life changes, and then they have to return that pet. And so I could see both views on that. Hakeem, I'm gonna bring you up. Do you want to answer that question? You want to talk about that with me real quick?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I want to touch on that before we go, man, because that was something that popped up, that the responsibility of and experiencing it, saying, hey, okay, I fill out the application, I adopt the dog, I take the dog home, 9 months, 8 months, 12 months later, life happens, and then now I got to give the dog back, and I'm taking the dog back to the pound. Is that a concern? Is that one of your concerns as well, or?
It's definitely a concern, because I've felt that way myself a bunch of times. But I think it's a concern the same way as when we take a new job. You might lose that job. You might not keep that job forever. This car might get ran into when you're asleep. So the same way you go into something, accepting the fate of whatever could come with it, I think we got to sometimes look at that with dogs. We have to be responsible, we have to be prepared, do our research, Breed research is very important, and not just the same way you can go to a car salesman and they make you get something you didn't even want. They could potentially do that at these shelters and rescues as well, because that guilt factor can add up where it's like, I gotta take these dogs home. But no, you should wait until you're ready. And if you do come into a wall where you don't know what to do 9-10 months after a year, maybe, hopefully you can have a good enough level of communication with wherever you're taking that pet to, where they're not going to put you on a do not adopt list or something like that. Because the key is we need to have more people to adopt these pets. And if we're banning people, it's not going to help the problem. So hopefully when that person comes in and explains their situation, they say, hey, okay, what is the problem? You need more food? We can help. We got a food pantry. Oh, it's the shots? We can get you shots. It's training. Well, let's see if maybe we can use a discount code to get you a trainer for cheaper. Resources. Let's just
try to go to the resources before you have to officially say, you know what, I can't.
Let's check everything off the list.
Yeah, check it all off the list. But what about? I've heard where the guy gets his girlfriend pregnant. They got the dog, and now they have the baby. Now they're like, okay, we got to get rid of the dog. It's like those are real life, those scenarios happen. But I guess I'll say that it goes back to the resources, though, right? It goes back to the ability to have resources.
And to be honest, like, people won't look at it this way, but this is kind of how I had to look at it, because just the way my life panned out, I had to put my dog first sometimes, and that didn't necessarily result in the greatest situation for me. Whereas, if the partner that I'm looking to deal with doesn't want to have my dog in their life, or we can't figure this out together, this is a very important subject. Like, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. This isn't, a pair of sneakers. This is a part of my life. And if we can't make this work, meaning like when I say we, that means the surrounding family as well. Your cousin can't take in my dog for a little bit. Like, I don't want this dog to go back to a shelter. I want it to stay within this family. So if we can't, if I'm having a child with somebody that doesn't have a strong enough unit behind them, or I don't have a strong enough unit behind me, maybe I need to consider what I'm doing in my life a little differently. Not saying we're making the wrong decision.
Oh my goodness. I thought we were done, man. We're not done.
I got bars for days on these things, man. I love this type of stuff.
I was just kidding, because my friends, when I had my dog, I vowed to myself that if I left the house and she was outside, if it got 50 degrees, I'm not going to leave her outside beyond 50 degrees. And if it's hot, then I'm not going to leave her outside, even with water at a particular temperature. And a lot of my friends didn't understand that, when I'm like, you know what, I got to go home, and my dog is outside. Or I can't hang out all night because it's winter time. And my dog is out, and it's like, they had no compassion. Like, what are you talking about? It's a dog. I'm like, no, bro. Imagine I go home and my dog is dead because I'm over here hanging out with you because it's 45 degrees or 30 degrees. No, man, I'm not. But like you said, some people don't have that level of
consideration.
Whatever
this is a life. It's not a toy. It's a life. Yeah. And I know from the years of me being 20 up to about 31, I never got to experience 4th of July because
bro, let's go there. Oh my God,
protecting my dog. So,
bro,
unless my friends were like, "Yo, you can bring your dog to the cookout," and even still, she was a little panicked. But I remember when I finally, and this is the older years, but when I finally got a chance to bring her with me because my friends were accepting, I'm like, "This is heaven. This is what it's all about right here."
Do you know how many times I tried to go somewhere and come back in enough time, but the neighbors are popping fireworks beforehand? And my dog, she had all 3 screen doors she ripped off.
I had to happen.
One evening I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. It was a family barbecue too in San Bernardino. I was gonna go there. So what I did was it was hot that day. So I left the kitchen window open just a little bit, right, for air to come in, and she was outside. Bro, when I got back, she had tried to come through the window. So she tore down that screen. She tore the blind inside the kitchen blind down. Bro, it looked like a hurricane came through the kitchen. I was like, I felt so bad, man. It was like, so what we started to do was on 4th of July, I would put her in the either in the garage or put her in her corner, and I would turn on the speaker and I would play music, as loud as I could to kind of deter the fireworks sound, man. But the 4th of July's were, oh my God, I forgot.
Yeah, that was something that
about the 4th of July's.
It took me so long to realize how much fun that day can be, because I was always looking at it as an obstacle. Those 4th of July's that I wasn't there, even if it was, like you said, people just letting them off early, all the doors in my house were ruined. And I still, that's the house that I gave that house to my brother. He still lives there, and the doors are still like that. And we don't want to change.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we don't really like. We got the money to fix it, but it's really like. But this
history.
We even took up the old floorboards, and you can smell her in them. It's not necessarily a good smell, but it's like, oh my God, I know this smell.
You know that smell? Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about the 4th of July, bros.
And then don't let there be, I don't know, just something to celebrate. If there's something to celebrate, it's going down in my house.
Wow.
And that's a big thing, because, like we said, it's a life. And if people aren't willing to make these adjustments to make your life fair, I don't even want to say easier. Like, hey, man, my dog is well behaved. If I'm going to come over, I have to bring my dog with me. Is that cool with you? And when people say that is cool with them, it's like, okay, you're going to be around for a long time. You want to make memories with me. You want me to be here.
Wow. Yeah. Most of the time I left my dog at the house.
That's why I got the little guy now. The little guy can go everywhere with me. He's 11 pounds.
See, that's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe just get one that I can hang around and carry around and not be so big. But if I got to travel, I travel a lot. So it's like, that's tough, man.
Yeah, it's bittersweet.
It's like having a baby. It's like having a child.
Something else was made easier on me was, for one, having a little dog. Everyone thinks it's the most adorable little toy. So that means I can easily be like, you can just watch him. He don't bark. He don't bite. All you got to do is maybe clean up some poop every now and then.
I got you. No, man. Again, thank you for coming back up on the deck, man, and finishing.
Of course, man. I love the conversation, bro.
There was some more that popped up for me, and I was like, I know you could speak to that, because I know I'm not by myself.
No, never by yourself on that type of thing. I'm here with you on that.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. Thanks again. All right, we got to get out of here. This is the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. Yes, Trench Talk is a segment here, but we are a variety show. We talk about everything. So again, the iahounds.com if you want to check us out. Season's almost over. Regular season's almost over. Got a shot at the playoffs. Not sure what's going to happen next season, but in the off season, we're definitely going to cultivate more relationships and work with these organizations to see how we can be a part of that support. We talked about mental toughness and mental health, so you can go to LBI Solutions, work with Caldwell Williams there. That's one of our other important topics for our human beings, the sense of belonging and that development there. We talk about that. Sports Collective for you sports fans, that show's still there. And of course, the sickle cell trait awareness at wdconset.org. And if you're interested in what I'm up to in the community, all the other stuff, farrond.com, you can check that out. And if you want to be a guest as well, hit me up at Farron Dozier. But yeah, shouts out to the Military Broadcast Radio Network for opportunities to have my show here. I lost track. I think it's been 3 years since I've been back here, because I met them in 2021 on an interview, and then took me a couple years to come back. I think I just shut down, I had 5 shows at one time, and then I narrowed it down to 2.5. And so this one here, I get to express myself, stay connected to my military community, my veteran community, and then also on the KCA radio show, for the variety show, Music Talk Sports over there, and then Beyond 2D, which happens earlier this morning, 11 o'clock Wednesdays, Pacific time. Myself and Jessica get into conversations about language, words that we use to describe. Sometimes, we use words that doesn't actually mean what we're trying to say, right? So today we talked about respect. Last start of the season, last couple Wednesdays, we did loyalty. So now I think the next one is considerations. And are we really considerate with people, right? So that's that right there. Again, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to play a couple more PSAs, and I'm out of here. Shout out Southwest Account, the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network.
Zetovia salve, made from natural and organic ingredients, good for inflammation, poor circulation, hemorrhoids, yeast infection, lip sores, dry coughs, eye pain, minor cuts and bruises, and ready to purchase at botanicaherbalco.com. 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 Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm blessed, my brother.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
Muchos de nosotros nos vemos afectados por la enfermedad de células falciformes a diario y un número creciente simplemente no nos damos cuenta. Los impactos de esta enfermedad afectan a todas las personas y en especialmente a las personas de color y con antecedentes diversos. Estar en servicio conmigo y con los demás a medida que creamos una mayor conciencia sobre cómo identificar y dirigir el tratamiento de los rasgos de células falciformes y ayudar a las familias a saber cómo superar el trastorno de células falciformes. WDCONS.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25 and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show, or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.